This is the World on Water for March 8, 2019. You're watching the Melges 14 Midwinters. Here are the highlights in sailing from all around the world this week. The 39th Heineken Regatta started in the Caribbean this week. The Rossa Challenge for the America's Cup reports. We're in the boat park at the JJ's. Sydney Harbour Regatta was on at the weekend. And Simon Fowler on Ocean Fox gives us a report on the trade winds. Now it's off to St Maarten in the Caribbean for the Heineken Regatta.
Taking place on the crystal clear waters of the Caribbean and run by an experienced race team, the 39th edition of the St Maarten Heineken Regatta is welcoming the sailors and spectators.
Today is the second day of registration, so that's when we primarily welcome back and welcome new racers to the event, and they come to check that we have all the information that we need about their boat, about their crew. And we are looking at about 120 boats, so well in excess 1,000, 1,500 sailors. And so that's the day when we check all the information before the first day of racing tomorrow.
This is the first time that there will be 4 days of racing in the regatta. More than 1,500 sailors from 120 boats are offered a mixture of races, with a combination of windward-leeward and coastal races blended together.
It's my first time being at the Heineken Regatta. It's amazing. It's a beautiful island. The weather's amazing and we have amazing wind.
I've come for Heineken Regatta for some proper sailing, nice and breezy, sunshine, and maybe the odd bit of partying.
From maxis to racing monohulls and multi-hulls to cruising boats, the St Maarten Heineken Regatta is a seriously fun racing event, suitable for everyone.
Welcome, welcome, welcome to St Maarten! It's the 39th St Maarten Heineken Regatta. We're very happy that you're here. We got a lot of great action. We got a lot of great music. We got some of the best artists from around the world on St Maarten and in the Caribbean. We're very excited that you're here.
Thank you all so much for coming out here to St Maarten, this beautiful island, for the 39th edition of the annual St Maarten Heineken Regatta. We are really looking forward to the 39th edition. We have 4 days of hot racing, followed with some really awesome parties at night. And the 4 days of racing is new this year. And we just did that because we want to offer more for the sailors, more racing, more excitement. That it's really even more worth it coming here.
Tune in tomorrow for the first day of racing from the 39th St Maarten Heineken Regatta.
I just want to make sure it's clear for everyone, especially the new guys. This cup is not an attempt. This cup is not a real search for future races. This cup is not 3 years from now. This cup will be won in the now. We will push our limits, and we're gonna win this cup every day. This cup will be our obsession, our dream, our blessing, our course. This cup will be our everything. Every day, every night, every hour, every second. This cup will be our family for the next 3 years. We are Luna Rossa, and we are challengers. For now.
Tip all good?
No, it's going to bloody.
That's always good for us.
It's going to motivate.
Yeah?
How good's this rigging spot? You guys have got space for all.
Yeah, but you want to carry the boat from this end to the other end?
I would if I was first in each day. It's your rigging modification.
Okay, mate. Park with Sean Langman. We're 2 down, Sean. It's blowing 20 plus.
Well, we've been looking forward to this, to be honest. We've started with this sort of breeze strength all year, and first 2 races, big rig. It was unfamiliar territory to most of the boats. It's been an interesting start to this JJ. A lot of boats that haven't really been faring that well this year are right up there. So, yeah, no, it's a bit of a controversy, bit of a mixture, and I think things will settle down after 2 short course races, small rig, action-packed, and hopefully the body hangs in, the boat hangs in. We have a good day.
Do you think the cream is going to rise to the top today, do you?
The fleet is really tight. Everyone's having their moments. Obviously, the scoreboard shows at the moment 2 wins to Honda. They are incredibly clever and they are incredibly quick. But short course racing, as I say, anything can happen. It's really about staying clean, taking the risks when you need to. So yeah, cream rise to the top. I think this fleet is full of cream, to be honest. I think everyone is very good. I think a top 10 is always a keeper, and the guy that walks away, or the team that walks away with the win, are certainly, in my eyes, one of the best one-year sailors in the world.
Do you think it's going to be a swimming club race today, or?
I think the second race potentially. There's a good chance for quite a few swims. I think the first race, other than maybe an odd collision, I think it'll be pretty clean. Forecasters are built to up to around about 25. A little bit of fatigue in the second race. People will probably start to take risks. It's almost midway through the regatta by the afternoon, so things will certainly heat up then.
So what about you? What's your next project after the JJ?
I really focused on the JJ this year. We've had a great season, this team. Not a so much JJ so far, so we're looking forward to sort of getting that monkey off our back and getting back into some decent racing for us. After this, really, it'll be a little break, and I'll go to Tassie and sit on my little Maluka for a while and reflect.
Oh, lovely! Oh, lovely boat.
Yeah.
Mate, are you doing the Brisbane race, or are you going north?
Not really sure at this stage. It's going to be announced that our company Noakes has sponsored the Gold Coast race for the next 4 years. That's about to be announced.
Congratulations!
So
Thank
be
you.
keen to that, but I think it might clash with Garda, and these guys at the moment have had a rush of blood and said they're going to go to Garda with me. So yeah, we'll probably focus on that.
So So you'll go overseas?
I think so, yeah. We'll see what happens after a few days. Anyway, I better get yachting.
Okay, mate. All the best.
Cheers. Thank you.
Have a good one.
Now back in the boat park, here we are with the winners, or the best performing boat of the day. Smeg, congratulations lads. Challenging day, pretty fresh on the harbour, but in the end you guys brought it home. Tell us the story, Michael.
Yeah, Mark, well, great day, nor'easter, it was a cracker. The boys, Mike and Ricky, just did an awesome job today. We had a good game plan and we stuck to it, much better than a few of our previous days' game plans. But we kept clean, the boat was going fast, and we had our few little issues, but on the first race particularly, but we managed to survive what looked like a destined capsize.
So tell us about one of those issues.
The issues. So obviously the short course put a bit more pressure on everything, and then managing the traffic, and we had a couple of boats trying to go over us. And I think we had a bit of a nosedive at the same time, so all of that meant we almost were in for a swim, but kept it together.
A kind of day where it easily could have gone all wrong, as it did for a few of the boats, but you guys looked pretty in control.
Yeah, and that was part of the game plan, was just to keep it clean, just to really keep it simple, minimise the tacks and just, stay out in front and keep the clear air, and we executed that quite well, I thought, today.
So, Coco, Smeg, you're right back in this regatta, that's for sure, isn't it? You're in this to win it.
Oh, definitely. I thought we were still in it going into today. Our game plan is to just try and be consistent, top fives, and then maybe try and turn the screws a little bit later if we happen to be in the mix. So after a day like that, we're sort of semi in the mix. Nice to just get a win, I've got to say.
Well, turning the screws later on, we'll come back to and talk to you about that. I look forward to seeing that. Like from the boat park, the top boat of the day, awesome performance by Smeg. Tomorrow, another 2-race day. Make sure to join us for that. From Double Bay, goodbye.
The Sydney Harbour Bridge and the Opera House, all the way down to Manly. Boats, 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 as the Middle Harbour Yacht Club ran the Sydney Harbour Regatta and filled the harbour with boats of all shapes and sizes. And if that was not enough, there were courses offshore for the offshore boats. Weather-wise, it was a moderate 8 to 12 nor'easter and ideal warm conditions for New South Wales' largest keelboat regatta. Despite not being able to maintain top performances in the past, Powder Hulk's owner Patrick Delaney, in his Adams 10, sailed to a New South Wales Championship for the first time. Delaney beat his nearest rival Black Chat, sailed by gun offshore racer Tom Braidwood, by 2 points. Delaney and Braidwood won 2 races, but Delaney from the Middle Harbour Yacht Club was the more consistent of the two. Jarvis Tilley has won his first title serving as skipper sailing the Jackal in the J70 New South Wales Championships. Tilley won by 4 points over the ever-competitive Juno owned by Reg Lord. renowned for his various boats named Easy Tiger, won the Super 12s on the countback with his MC38 Easy Tiger 6. It was way, all the way in the final race. To nail the top spot for him after 3 boats came into the final day within a point of each other.
I thought I'd take the opportunity and try and tell you about the trade winds. It's a phrase that you've probably heard. The trade winds are a wind system that used to take all sailing ships around the world, so they could trade with different countries and get them back to Europe or the UK or wherever they happen to go. So if we look at the North Atlantic, this is the Bay of Biscay, this is the Portuguese coast, Gibraltar, that's the Mediterranean off there, coast of Morocco and Africa. Over here is Venezuela and Brazil. Florida's down here, the US goes up there, past Greenland, and the UK is kind of up there somewhere. So if we put a line across here, this would be the equator. Now the first thing is that there's what we call the doldrums, which is an area around the equator where there is absolutely no wind whatsoever. So that's this area here. Now during the summer months in the northern hemisphere, this tends to move slightly north, and in the summer months of the southern hemisphere, the winter in the north, it will travel south. Now there's another major influencing factor here, and it's called the Azores Low, which is a high pressure region which sits in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. Now the Azores High tends to move north during the summer months and tends to travel slightly further south during the winter months, and it's distorted due to other things. Now the wind, as all winds, are influenced by three major things. One is air pressure. Wind tends to travel from high pressure to low pressure. Air temperature, there again it travels from a higher temperature to a lower temperature, and also the spin of the earth tends to create different airflows in the northern hemisphere to the southern hemisphere. What we tend to find is that the winds are travelling in a clockwise direction around the high pressure area. Sorry, not the low pressure. The Azores high. In the southern hemisphere, it would be an anti-clockwise direction. So the trade winds start to get established around about end of the year, December time, and they go right the way through till June, July time. And typically what will happen is that the wind will travel down the coast of Portugal. Here, this is known as Portuguese trade winds. You have the Canary Islands roughly here. You have the Cape Verde Islands where we've just come from over here. Barbados, say there. The Lesser Antilles goes off in an arc. You've got the Bahamas here, etc., etc. So they start to get established late year. They come down the Portuguese coast. They then travel south, slightly west of south, towards the Cape Verde Islands, and then they hit the doldrums here, so they actually turn and head up towards the Caribbean. So we get this massive circular wind. Now, if we set off on our yacht over here, we can actually follow these down, and all the way around we'll have the wind behind us, which is rather splendid actually, because that's the easiest way to sail. We don't really want to go head to wind. If you wanted to go back to the UK, I'm not sure anybody would want to go back to the UK, but if you want to go back to the UK, the answer to that is that you leave somewhere like Antigua up here, you go to Bermuda, which is a little crescent. It's actually made up of about 30 islands or 130 islands, but it's in the form of a crescent. And from there you will take the wind across the Atlantic to the Azores, and then from there you will either pick your slot to go up to northern Europe, or you'll come across to the coast of Portugal and back down into the Mediterranean. Now you could say, wouldn't it be quicker just to go straight across the Atlantic? Well, if you went straight across the Atlantic from, let's say, the northern hemisphere, you would do something called the Great Arc route, which is a route which is always has some north bow in it to actually get the shortest route. So you would kind of travel in an arc across there. Now, as you see, you will go through the middle of the high pressure system. That will give you very, very variable winds. It's also known as the horse latitudes, as the sailing ships that did this route used to get becalmed for weeks at a time maybe, and they'd start to run out of water, so they would slaughter their horses so that they didn't need to consume all the water. But generally speaking, for ease of sailing and enjoyment and comfort, we will pick the route with the trade winds, which will head down south. It's easy to get to the Canaries. It's a 6 or 7 day hop then down to Cape Verde Islands. You can have a break, and then you can head off west across the Atlantic, and it is almost due west, and you turn up in the Lesser Antilles. So, and down here you've got a little bit of current taking you as well. The current's built up by the wind, so you've got about half a knot or a knot of current the closer you get to the Caribbean. The waves are behind you, the wind's behind you, you're in for a great